Thank you. So if I want to share my screen, it says that it will stop the other screen. So I will just continue with that. And I will take over your screen. I also have put the link to my slides in the chat so that you can all read later. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I will put it in slideshow mode. Thanks. So thank you for the opportunity to share our work on data stewardship with your consortium. I have tried to make a nice overview of the things that we have been doing, and I hope that they are also useful in your context. So I will talk a little bit about what I want to, the aim of my little talk today, a bit about data-related roles, a bit about data stewardship, and also the main part will be about our Dutch efforts, but I will also touch a bit on Elixir, and I would like to end with a few takeaways that I hope are useful for you. So I will tell you something about the data stewardship landscape, how we have defined that. I will give you some pointers to tools and resources with information about knowledge, skills, and abilities needed for data stewardship, some training resources that we have made, and also tell you about the community building that we are doing. First, data stewardship is only one role, one data-related role, and there are many more. You see them on the left. You see the steward, the analyst, the engineer, the manager, the scientist, the research software engineer, etc. And I have put two links to documents that might be of interest where these roles are defined. One is an OECD report, and one on the left is the table from our own report, which I will discuss in a bit more detail. But for today, I would like to focus with you on data stewardship. And within DTL, we have defined this as responsible planning and executing of all actions on digital data before, during, and after a research project, with the aim of optimizing the usability, the reusability, and the reproducibility of the resulting data. And I think by now, everybody knows and realizes that data stewardship and data management skills are essential in research, but there is still a kind of lack of consensus on actually what those people in those roles need to know, need to do, how many of them you would need for your researchers, etc. That's why we think that professionalization step is needed, and our aim is really to do this in international alignment and coordination. And on the bottom left, you see the table of the current insights in full-time equivalent needed to support 1,000 researchers with their data stewardship. And we think that there might be 26 data stewards needed and also 4 trainers. This is a picture that I would like to show you, and I'm also very proud of this. This is work that we have done in 2019, where we have kind of analyzed the data stewardship landscape, and we ended up with identifying 3 different roles. And I call it roles on purpose, not stewards or persons. These are roles, and they can be done by different persons, several persons in several, that persons might also have other roles in their organization. We identified 3 main areas: the policy, the research, and the infrastructure. And the data steward research role is the role that is actually very close to the scientists to help them with their data management and data stewardship. The data steward infrastructure role is the role that is very close to the IT provider, the technical infrastructure, the hardware, etc. And the data steward policy role is very close to, it's making the bridge to, I don't know, the dean of your university, your funder, policymakers in your country, etc. And those 3 roles together form the data stewardship landscape. And what we did for all of those 3 roles, we identified 8 competency areas. Policy strategy, you see them on the right. Compliance, alignment with fair data principles, services, infrastructure, knowledge management, network, and data archiving. And then for all of those 8 areas, for all the 3 roles, policy, infrastructure, and research, we made a huge matrix with responsibilities and tasks, knowledge, skills, and abilities, and also learning objectives, including levels of Bloom, in case you want to make training to educate people in data stewardship. To give the full picture, on the top, I have give the link to the Competency Hub. The EBI Competency Hub currently hosts a lot of competency frameworks that are out there. And our data stewardship competency framework is also in there, which gives a very nice overview, better than a simple or a large Excel spreadsheet. So if you want to look at the competency framework, I can recommend that you look at the Competency Hub visualization. By now, we have branded it NPOS Elixir Data Stewardship Competency Framework because it came together with funding both from our national program Open Science and the European Elixir funding. There's also 2 other documents that might be interesting for you related to data stewardship and data management competencies, and I've given them here. One is the FAIR for S framework, and one is a report from the project FAIR's FAIR, where several competency frameworks are described and compared. Here you see an example from the Competency Hub from one entry of our competency framework. So it is for the competence area network, which is about obtaining and maintaining a network of aligned expertise areas and relevant organizations by the Institute. And then you see in red, you see that I have opened the box that is about the research-oriented data steward. And the role is then that for this area network, it is that the data steward is responsible for liaison and alignment of research data management within the department or project group and with relevant stakeholders outside the department or project group. And then when you click it open, you see a list of activities and tasks, of knowledge, skills, and abilities, and also of learning objectives. And so we have a very large set. The project was followed up by a next project in the national program Open Science, which was to establish the Dutch roadmap towards national implementation of fair data stewardship. And I've linked to the report here. I think we hope that is really a roadmap. We did it with over 30 representatives of over 30 organizations. We had all the universities, the university medical centers, the University of Applied Sciences, service providers, funders, etc. And what we aimed to do was to get to a national approach on professionalizing data stewardship. And by getting them on board from the beginning, we also have good hope that the recommendations will really be taken forward and implemented in the strategic plans of the umbrella organizations. It's a huge report. So on the bottom, I've stated that for a quick overview, you could read the preamble, the executive summary, and chapter 7, which is a summary of the recommendations. But here you also see what we have in there. So in the first chapter, we talk about international developments and the introductory of our project and the Dutch context. Then we talk about in chapter 2 about the definitions and the previous results for which we were building on. And then we have the 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters where we really touched and went into the deep. And I will show you a few highlights in a minute from that. But chapter 3 gives an analysis of the data stewardship training and education landscape based on case studies. Chapter 4 worked on components for a job profile. Chapter 5 was about trying to make an inventory of data-related trainings and a pilot annotation of those courses, because we all know that there's a lot out there, but how to find it if it's not annotated in a way that we all agreed upon. And in chapter 6, we also made a rough design of a tool that could be, if it could be built, that it could be navigated by people to find their proper learning path to upskill their data stewardship skills. I want to highlight 2 things because we also have limited time today. One thing is that one of the recommendations was about the job profiles. So that we really thought it would be to make the next step for professionalization, we really need to get this in the job classification systems of the organizations. And we already made a huge step, because in 2022, we now have the basic job components that we have established. We have them now incorporated in the formal university function system. So there is now a data steward profile in the Dutch university system, and it was formalized already in August 2021. That means that the universities now really can hire people with that title, with a clear task description, and also offer them a career path in which they can grow. In the meantime, we're also working with the medical centers. They have a draft profile that they are currently working with, and also with the University of Applied Sciences. One of the other recommendations was related to training, that there is a real need to define, develop, and deliver the tailored training programs, and also to make it possible in the Netherlands with a national approach to work to this. And also a culture change is needed, that we really need a combination of training, including soft skills, but also community building and peer exchange. And of course, we also would like to work towards certification, but then I think we really need to do this on a national, or probably maybe in an international level, because certification of trainings is, of course, as you might realize, not a trivial thing to do at all. What we did is some of the work of the competencies, we already took that forward in our own training efforts. So whenever we make trainings now with data stewardship, we go back to our own competency framework and use the learning objectives to specify and to build our training modules. And here in this picture, you see an example of a case study for training. So we did 8 case studies from universities and UMCs to see how are the current data stewards positioned, what is their typical profile, their education, their work experience, their cultural background, their topics, etc. And then on the left, you see the items that were filled for each of the case studies. How are the data stewards positioned in that organization? How is their training arranged? How, and if so, how they can learn on the job? And what are the strengths and the challenges of the implementation of the data stewardship in this organization? And in this example, it's the Delft University of Technology, but in total we have 8. Now I want to switch to training. We have a course funded by the Interreg program in Europe, and it's called Helis Academy. So our course is called Helis Course on Fair Data Stewardship. It's for data stewards, mainly for data stewards, although sometimes researchers also can attend. We did it 3 times now, so we have the feeling we iterated to a kind of settled course. And we are also sharing all the modules. You see them on the right. You can find them all back through the course webpage. We have a DOI for every module, and everything is findable. So you can use it for inspiration or reuse it in your classes or for self-directed learning. There are other things we're doing too. We have done a data stewardship course more directed to the data steward that has the infrastructure angle. It's one of the 3 that I said in the beginning, research, policy, and infrastructure. So we had a technical data stewardship course. And also very important, we have also been involved in training early career researchers from 2 consortia. And I think it's really important because researchers, they are at the beginning of their career, they are beginning of the project, they're starting with the data capturing, and it's really important to talk to them with the principles about data stewardship, fair data management. Think about this, standards, ontologies, metadata, everything. And often the researchers, they don't have much time. So these modules that I've shown here, that I list here, are really short. I think 1 day max or something. Often we try to do it together with the researchers in the consortium, so we could also look really a bit add their data, add their questions. So I think this is really needed because a lot of researchers need to be aware that they can really make steps towards better data stewardship. And then on the other side of the spectrum, this is mainly done by my colleague, Maaike Jette. We had really nitty-gritty details, metadata workshops related to the COVID-19 work that has been going on in the Netherlands. The third thing I want to discuss is really the community building. And I kind of put it into levels here. We have a local level, of course, at the universities, at the institutes. Then we have also another axis, that's the disciplinary, for instance, Gelder and DTL. We represent the life science and health community in the Netherlands. There's also national communities, which are more domain agnostic. And one I will talk about in a minute is the DSIG, the Data Stewards Intergroup that we have founded. And then, of course, there's the international landscape. We have Elixir as the European infrastructure for data in the life sciences. We have the European Open Science Cloud. We have the RDA, the Research Data Alliance. We have the Go Fair Foundation. So a lot of levels, and it's good to find your place and interact on the appropriate levels. That is really beneficial for your work. In our country, we have started the Data Steward Intergroup already in 2017. And by now, we have over 600 members, which are not only from the Netherlands, so we're also open from people from other countries. And there, the data stewards that are in the organizations come together very informally. They have monthly or 2 monthly meetings. They have a Slack channel, they exchange experience, they exchange results, they exchange the good things, but they also exchange the challenges. And if there are topics that they want to work on together, we organize focus meetings, etc. So this is really useful. And I assume that probably with your data managers in your project, you also have a kind of community like that because it's invaluable. In Gelder, we also have a subset, really a dedicated community for the data stewards who are really in the hospitals. That's a subset of the other group. Then I want to talk a little bit about Elixir. So Elixir, as I said, is the European research infrastructure for data in the life sciences. And in Elixir, there is a project running that's called Converge, which is about data management in the life sciences and then on a European scale. And in the Converge project, work package 2 is really about training and capacity building in data management. And I'm one of the co-leads of that work package. And there we try to work with 23 countries together to build a coherent portfolio of training materials and training expertise for data stewards, researchers, and trainers. And if you see the numbers since February 2020, we have had 71 training events in 16 countries with over 2,000 participants. And also there is a huge body of knowledge, there is an expertise, there is a community of practice, that the materials are shared in the Elixir training portal. So if you are interested, please contact me and I can help you by answering your question or by pointing you to the correct person, because we are with 23 countries working on this. So it's a huge community of experts. In Converge, there's also in another work package, a toolkit has been built, the RDM kit. And I think it's really a resource that you might be interested in to check out. Why I wanted to mention it here today is that because I told you about our 3 data stewardship roles, policy, research, and infrastructure. And those entrance points are also defined in the RDM kit at the moment. So you see that on the right in the picture. The RDM kit, you can navigate by starting on which part of the data lifecycle you want to look at. But you can also say, look, I'm a researcher, and then you navigate maybe in a different way than when you're a data steward policy or a data steward research. Another angle is your domain. So say you are working in plants or in human data or in rare diseases, then you can enter the RDM kit through the Your Domain pages. very useful. And if you're interested, please check it out. So this is a kind of a summary slide that I really hope that, but I may be for this audience preaching to people who are already fully aware of this. So if you want to really make data fair, you need really good choices. You need to think about how many data stewards you need, where to put them in the organization, and what exactly do they need to be able to do, and you have to train them. It is a new profession and it is still evolving. There's a lot going on in Europe and also outside Europe. And I think it's very good to be aware of that because it can be useful and you can build on the things that are already there. Recommended next steps, that would be more for people who really are leading a team. Think about what roles you do have in the team and what you still need. If I look at 2019, when we started, we had really people in our workshop that say, look, I'm working at Erasmus Medical Center, I'm alone, and I have to do all the support for 300 researchers. And that was it. So although you can maybe think about 3 roles for a data steward, but I'm all alone and I have to do everything for 300 people. But now we are a few years further in time and there hasn't been a lot of development, but there's still much discussion going on. How many FTE, where to put them, where is the balance between domain agnostic support or domain specific support? So really things to consider when thinking about this really important data support role. And this is just my final slide because, of course, this is work done by many people and I cannot mention them all by name. So I put the project here and the teams here, and especially Maaike and myself. If you want to know more, please contact us. And of course, I'm also very happy to answer questions now if there are questions. And I will stop sharing, then I can see you all again.